Do you have a LinkedIn profile? If so, make sure that you're not making these common mistakes. Now, if you're not on LinkedIn already, that's the first thing that you want to do is make sure that you go and create a LinkedIn profile, because you're missing out on some of the best opportunities. Now, as a corporate recruiter with 20 years of experience hiring thousands of people into some of the world's most well-known and well-respected companies, we use LinkedIn extensively to help source and find the very best candidates. And in fact, I'm probably not filling too many of my positions through open posts just because it's too untargeted. The reason why LinkedIn is such a great tool for us recruiters is that we can narrow down exactly what we're looking for and find the perfect match. Whereas a job posting, I might get 100 applications and only 1 or 2 of them are worth talking to. Now, I know that can seem frustrating as the average job seeker because you're applying to a lot of positions and you're probably not getting a lot of calls. But the reality is on our end is we have to find very targeted candidates for our positions, and that's just what our hiring managers demand. So with LinkedIn, I'm actually able to go and find the candidates that match me perfectly rather than hoping that somebody's gonna find me the other way around. So as a corporate recruiter, I'm gonna share with you 6 major mistakes I see commonly that job seekers make that's probably limiting their opportunities. Now, if you're a job seeker yourself and you're interested in more videos like this, make sure you hit the subscribe button. All right, so let's get into it. So the first major thing that I see that people make mistakes on is not allowing contact. So how it works from a recruiting perspective is LinkedIn has 2 separate sites. Or 2 separate logins, I guess you could say, but essentially it's 2 separate sites. So there's the LinkedIn front-facing that you're probably most familiar with, that you probably are on today. Then there's also what's called LinkedIn Recruiter, which is a back channel. We can search the database from the back end. So anything that you put into your profile, I can search for in a keyword or some level of filtering. And why that's so powerful is that if I'm looking for a very specific combination of skill sets, I can do what we call a Boolean search, where I can do search strings, and then I can find exactly what I'm looking for. And it saves me a lot of time of trying to go through and look through hundreds and thousands of profiles to try to find that exact fit. So I use LinkedIn Recruiter extensively in my recruiting, and specifically I use Boolean searching inside of LinkedIn Recruiter in order to find that very targeted candidate. When I find you and I go in and click on your profile, in a lot of cases, the most frustrating thing is I find the perfect candidate, go to hit the contact button or try to connect with them, and they have blocked essentially anybody that they don't know. They set it up so that there's no contact allowed. And that's extremely frustrating because there's no real way then I can necessarily reach out to you and try to, and now I have to try to figure out another way. But I usually and if you're not wanting contact on LinkedIn, I'm not going to try to bug you. So I usually don't go too far down that rabbit hole, but it is very frustrating to find the perfect candidate for a job that is probably going to represent a nice opportunity for them, and I just can't reach out to them because they don't let me. So especially if you're an active job seeker or you're somebody that wants to have opportunities come their way, if you are not allowing me as the recruiter, you're not allowing recruiters to contact you about opportunities, then you're potentially missing out on really great options. I mean, I've had some really nice positions that have come up that I've been recruiting for, and I find the perfect fit, but I can't contact them, and who knows if they're even in a position to want a new job, but you never know. So it's kind of like you're never going to know what opportunities you have if you don't at least allow us to give you the pitch. Now, even if you're a passive candidate, and a passive candidate is somebody that's not actively looking for a job, I still think that it's worth allowing people to contact you, because really it only takes a few seconds out of your day. If you get a few emails that you don't want, that you're not interested in from random recruiters, it doesn't take that much out of your day. But there might be that one opportunity that you're going to pass by that you're never going to hear about because you're not letting us contact you. So if somebody's contacting you or you're getting a lot of emails from recruiters, consider yourself lucky, because that means that you're in demand and that you have a decent profile that other people are interested in. There's a lot of people that would trade places with you. So keep your contact options open, especially if you're looking for new career opportunities or looking to move up in your profession. Second thing is keywords. So now when we look at keywords from the back end, and I talked about Boolean searching, now it's an advanced search strategy for recruiters, but we use a string of keywords tied together, and we look for very specific or targeted profiles. And so if your profile that you've created on the front end of LinkedIn doesn't have those specific keywords, you're not going to show up in my search results. So essentially, what you should be doing is loading down your resume with all the loading down your LinkedIn profile with all the keywords that I might be looking for as a recruiter. Now, what keywords should you add in? It really depends on the type of people that are in your industry and the types of positions that are open. So it's really just best to keep a pulse on your industry and find what the major things are that people have, or the skills that they have, and make sure that if you have those skills, add them into your LinkedIn profile. So the more that you add those keywords in, the easier it's going to be for me to find you, and the more likely it is that a recruiter is going to contact you. Now, the next major thing is being active. So if you are somebody that is on LinkedIn and you've got great keywords and you've allowed me to contact you, but you're never on LinkedIn to check your messages, I can't really contact you if you're not going to read them. So being active on the platforms, keeping a pulse of what's going on, checking your in-mails occasionally, maybe even setting up a notification if you're just not somebody that checks LinkedIn on a daily basis, to send notifications to an email address that you do check. Because you're going to, and you can set it up to that you're only receiving in-mails and you're not receiving every single notification in your network. So you can kind of narrow that down if you don't want to receive a whole bunch. Because LinkedIn, let's face it, LinkedIn can send you a lot of stuff. So you got to go into your settings and you got to kind of play around with them. But at the very least, set up a notification for any direct in-mails that you get, and then you'll be able to see if I reach out to you for an opportunity. You'll be able to see it and be more engaged with my LinkedIn email to you. But the main thing is be active, because if you're not on the platform, you're not seeing what's going on, you're going to miss out on opportunities. I also, in my networks, a lot of the positions that I see that are really high quality, I'll repost them. If I have friends that have fellow recruiter friends that have a post, I will repost them myself to give them greater visibility. I see tons of job opportunities popping up just in my feed from my recruiter friends and from my network. So, and I'm not even going out and searching for these jobs, they just pop up. And since I'm pretty well honed into the types of people that I'm connected with, I see a lot of stuff that's very relevant to me if I was interested. So it's definitely worth being active. Go on the platform, especially if you're in a kind of a white collar type of position where you're going to see a lot of people kind of networking in local markets or in types of industries. It's really a great way to see what's going on in the world, see what other things people are working on, and then be kind of a presence yourself. So be active on the platform, and you might find yourself landing a decent opportunity that you wouldn't have noticed otherwise. Another mistake that people make is not networking themselves. So I see a lot of people on LinkedIn, this is probably the most common, where you'll see somebody that has less than 100 connections. And when I see that, I look at somebody that's probably not very active and doesn't have a very robust network. Now, it doesn't mean it's a social network. Well, I guess LinkedIn is a social network on the broadest sense, but it's a very defined network. And here's the thing about LinkedIn, that you can have as many networks. I think it limits you something like 35 or 50,000. So you're probably never going to reach the limit of the number of connections. So there's no reason not to have these connections, because the more people that can see you, the more people you can brand yourself to, and the greater the opportunity that is going to come your way. So go out and create those networks. You can start with, if you have any recent employers that you've worked with, maybe some of the people that you were on your work teams. I would certainly connect with previous bosses, previous people that you work very closely with. Look at your broader circles. You can look at people that you went to church with and all of that kind of stuff. But even if you take it a step further than that, start connecting with local industry, like people that are in similar roles and similar companies, because those are the people that you want to start to really build your networks with, because those networks are going to lead to direct opportunities. And I promise you that that's the case, because I've seen it happen myself. Those networks, the people that you start to really connect with and become active with, like we talked about in the previous point, if you're actively participating and engaging on their stuff, and you're posting your own content and it just goes out, people are going to start seeing you as an active member of that community, and your name is going to come up more frequently in conversation. And so if I'm looking for a position, I know on my LinkedIn, I think at the time of writing this, I think I've got almost I'm approaching 4,000 connections. Now, I actively go out and try to find people in my industries that I'm recruiting, specifically people that I'm trying to recruit, or industries that I'm just interested in myself, and other people like people in talent acquisition that I just want to be networked with. But I see it all the time. People, I see there's probably 20 or 30 of people in my networks that are really active, that are posting them. They're just kind of average, everyday people. But I see them all engaging, and I know exactly who they are. I know if I ever have a position, I already know a handful of people that I could already tap into, just because they post stuff, they repost stuff, they talk about things on there. They're active, they're building their network, they're connected to me. So that's something that I would really recommend that you focus on, is build your network up. And if you're somebody that only has 25 connections, try to increase that to the very minimum of 500, so that on your profile, it shows that you have 500 plus, because after 500, it no longer shows me individual counts. Not that the number of followers is the be all end all, but it does make you look like you're more active and invested in your career. Which leads me to the next major mistake is don't be a lurker. If you are somebody that is on LinkedIn and you never engage on anybody's posts, or you never create content of your own, your name is not going to get out there and it's not going to be seen. I find it very funny because I've got some friends, even recruiter friends, who pitch that they have 10,000 plus active connections or active network. Yet I never see a single post from them. They never engage on anything. So I sit there and I think, like, who cares if you've got 30,000 followers? If you never engage them and you're never a presence on there, then what difference does it make? You have no brand at all. So if you're engaging and you're building up your network and you're going in and leaving thoughtful comments, you're creating good content that drives good discussion, you're actually building up your employment brand. And as you build up your employment brand, people like me as a recruiter are going to notice that. And if you have built a network of very targeted, say you're connecting to recruiters that are in industries or in companies that you're very interested in, and you're building up your network and you're now engaging and putting out thoughtful content that's kind of routine, that you're doing it pretty regularly, I'm going to see that because I'm on LinkedIn every single day, all day long. When I'm recruiting, I'm there. I'm constantly refreshing my screen and I'm seeing all the latest posts. So I know that from me as a recruiter, I'm seeing that stuff. And if I see your name popping up constantly, I see people who I know that I could tap into as being experts or being people that are very engaged. So I would definitely recommend, if you are not somebody that is comfortable putting out their own content or engaging, just start. Make it a goal. Engage on one post a day. Maybe put out 2 or 3 posts a week, or maybe even just 1 post a week of your own content, and just see how it goes. Just start doing that consistently, and I think you'll be surprised at the results. But if you decide to start engaging as a way of building your employment brand, here's the last major mistake, and something that I absolutely recommend you do not do. Don't go on and start getting involved in controversial discussions. I've seen this now over the last several years, in particular over the last year as I'm creating this video. There has been a lot of controversial dialogue on all sides of the spectrum, in particular politically, and I'm sure everybody knows what I'm talking about, but also getting into religion or getting into belief systems that are not work related. I would be very careful of who you talk to, how you talk to them, and what kind of content you engage on. If you start getting into this screaming matches with other people, you do realize that everybody in your network, if you're connected to 1,000 people, everybody in your network and everybody in their networks and everybody that engages on any of the people on that thread. So if there's 1,000 comments, and anybody who is seeing that, so you're potentially having your argument is being seen by hundreds of thousands of people. And if you don't want your brand to be associated with that, which I really don't see why anybody would want their brand to be associated with it, it's going to be a really bad look on you, especially if your opinion, that's not to say that you can't have your own independent opinion. I'm totally for having your own opinions, even no matter if I agree with you or disagree with you. But there's a time and a place for it. And I would probably suggest that LinkedIn is not the time to get up on a soapbox and talk about your opinions on this and that. Keep it work related, keep it above the cuff, and keep it professional. Especially arguing with some random person that you've never met before is not a winning strategy, because I actually judge you. Even if I maybe agree with what you're arguing, I still might judge you and say, are you going to be doing this in an office setting? Do I really want you as part of my work setting? So be very careful of the kind of content that you engage. Keep it above the cuff. So there you have it. There's 6 major mistakes that I see people making routinely with LinkedIn. And if you're a job seeker and you're looking to get a leg up on the competition, make sure you sign up for my free 5-day bootcamp. I will leave a link below. I also have a website called alifeafterlayoff.com. It's loaded with tips and tricks on how to land your dream job, and there's also some great training resources in there for you as well. Now, if you like this video, give me a thumbs up because that actually helps other people find the content that they're looking for. Hey, I appreciate you watching, and we will see you on the next one.